The wind whipped against the windshield like angry lashes, the narrow mountain road in rural Colorado twisting through endless darkness. Patricia Velasquez gripped the steering wheel of her sleek Mercedes, her heart pounding in rhythm with the howling gusts. The dashboard clock glowed 8:57 p.m. No streetlights, no passing cars, just the faint outline of pine trees against a starless sky and the distant rumble of thunder. Suddenly the car jolted violently. A loud bang echoed as the front tire exploded, shreds of rubber flying into the night. The vehicle swerved, gravel crunching under the rims before skidding to a halt inches from the edge of a steep drop-off. Patricia's breath came in sharp gasps, her hands trembling as she killed the engine. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the wind rattling the chassis. She fumbled for her phone, the screen illuminating her pale face. No signal, no bars, no GPS. Panic clawed at her chest. She was miles from the nearest town on a route she'd chosen for its seclusion during her rare escape from the city. Stepping out into the biting cold, the wind stung her eyes, tears blurring her vision. She knelt by the deflated tire, its jagged tear mocking her. The road stretched empty in both directions, swallowed by shadows. In that moment, a chilling realization hit her. If something happened tonight, no one would know she was ever here. Her empire back in the city boardrooms, deals the endless grind felt worlds away. She was utterly alone. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Then in the distance, a pair of faint yellow headlights pierced the gloom. An old pickup truck approached slowly, its engine rumbling like a reluctant savior. Patricia tensed, stepping back as it pulled over. The door creaked open, and a man emerged, broad-shouldered in a worn jacket stained with grease, his hands calloused from years of hard labor. He kept a respectful distance, his voice steady and calm amid the storm. "You okay? Looks like a blowout." Patricia eyed him warily, her designer coat flapping in the wind. No signal. I'm lost." He nodded, glancing at the tire and the precarious edge of the road. "Don't stand too close to the drop. It's slick and freezing. Let me swap that tire for you." She hesitated, fear mingling with desperate hope. "I can pay you." He paused, looking up with eyes that were serious yet kind. "No need. Folks help each other out here." He knelt by the wheel, pulling tools from his truck with practiced ease, as if he'd done this 100 times under worse conditions. Patricia watched, stunned by his unassuming generosity in a world where everything came with a price. Just then, the passenger door of the truck cracked open. A small girl about 6 years old poked her head out, clutching a threadbare teddy bear. Her wide, innocent eyes fixed on Patricia, and in a voice soft but earnest, she said, "Daddy, will she get home in time? I don't want her to eat dinner all alone." Patricia froze, her throat tightening. The words struck like an arrow, piercing the armor she'd built around her solitude, the endless nights in her penthouse meals, eaten in silence, success that isolated her from real connection. The man Raphael turned his tone gentle as he addressed his daughter. "It's all right, Inez. I'll get her fixed up quick and we'll head home." Then he glanced at Patricia, adding quietly, almost as an afterthought, "Kid worries about everyone. She figures we all need a place to go back to." The simplicity of it lingered in the air as he worked the wind, carrying unspoken questions. Who was this man, so unflinching in the face of the night? Why did his quiet kindness feel like a lifeline? And for a woman like Patricia, used to a life of calculated risks and guarded walls, would this fleeting encounter pull her back to her polished world or draw her into something entirely unforeseen? The morning sun filtered through the thin curtains of the roadside motel, casting long shadows across the worn carpet. Patricia stared at her reflection in the cracked mirror, her designer blouse rumpled from the night's restless sleep. The tow truck had arrived at dawn, hauling her Mercedes to the small garage in the valley town below the mountains. The mechanic had poked around the undercarriage, wiping grease from his hands before delivering the verdict. "Tires fine now, but the drive system's got a minor glitch. Best you stay put a day for checks." She could have insisted on expediting it, called in favors, arranged a helicopter lift back to the city. But she didn't. Not because of the car. No, it was that little girl's voice echoing in her mind. "I don't want her to eat dinner all alone." The words had unraveled something inside her, a thread of isolation she'd woven tightly over years of board meetings and solitary penthouse dinners. For once, she wanted to linger in a place where no one expected her to command. The garage was at the edge of town, a squat building with a faded sign reading, Raphael's Auto Repair. The air smelled of oil and hot metal, an old radio crackling with holiday tunes. Raphael was bent under a hood, his sleeves rolled up, revealing arms etched with the scars of manual labor. Inez sat nearby on a wooden stool, her crayon scratching across a coloring book, the teddy bear propped beside her. When Patricia entered, Inez looked up, first her face lighting like a spark. "The tire lady." Patricia couldn't help but smile, the tension in her chest easing. "Hello again." Raphael straightened, wiping his hands on a rag. Recognition flickered in his eyes, followed by mild surprise. "Car still giving trouble?" "No. I just wanted to say thank you. Properly." She hesitated, then pulled a thermos from her bag. "And maybe offer some hot cocoa. I owe your daughter an apology for worrying her." Raphael glanced at Inez, who nodded eagerly. He sighed a reluctant surrender. "1 cup." They sat at a makeshift table in the corner, steam rising from mismatched mugs. Inez sipped hers with delight, chocolate smudging her chin. Patricia watched her, envying the child's unfiltered joy. Back in the city, her life was a fortress of schedules and solitude, endless negotiations where people saw her as the heiress to Velasquez Group, not as Patricia. She kept her story vague. "I work in an office, travel a lot." Raphael nodded, not prying. "Sounds busy." Before the conversation could deepen, the door swung open. A woman strode in her makeup, heavy a faux fur coat draped over her shoulders, perfume clashing with the garage's earthy scent. Her eyes landed on Inez's lips, curling into a smirk. "Well, look at you. Still kicking, huh?" Raphael tensed his jaw, tightening. Inez ducked her head, suddenly silent, clutching her crayon like a shield. The woman Rosa glanced at Patricia, her gaze sharpening. "Oh, fancy company. You hit the jackpot, Raph." "Leave it, Rosa," Raphael said evenly, but his voice carried an edge. Rosa crossed her arms. "Just saying. A man like you snagging someone polished must be after something good." She eyed Patricia's subtle jewelry, suspicion glinting. "Or maybe she's the one with the angle." Patricia shifted uncomfortably, catching fragments as Rosa leaned toward Raphael, whispering just loud enough, "Watch it. Rich types play for fun, then ditch you like trash." Raphael's face hardened, self-doubt flickering. Patricia excused herself briefly, stepping outside, but the words lingered. She pieced together the fragments. Rosa was Inez's mother, long gone now, back like a shadow. That evening, Patricia returned with a bag of groceries, simple fare cookies for Inez. "I don't know what you like, but she mentioned sweets." Inez beamed, hugging the bag. Raphael relented, heating soup on a hot plate. They ate in the dim light, warm broth, crusty bread, Inez chattering about school drawings. Patricia listened, sharing quietly about her city's isolation. "No one ever just sits with me. It's always you must this or that." Raphael met her eyes, softening. "Must be lonely up there." The warmth shattered when the door burst open again. Rosa stormed in, phone in hand, her face triumphant. "I knew it!" Patricia stood confused. Raphael frowned. "What now?" Rosa thrust the screen forward. A financial news page, Patricia's photo in a power suit headline. "Patricia Velasquez, heiress to Velasquez Group returns from Europe deal." Raphael stared, color draining. "You said office work." I did," Patricia stammered. "I didn't want—" Rosa laughed bitterly. "See, told you. She's slumming it for kicks. What board of your mansions need a poor mechanic for a story?" Inez whimpered, tears welling. Patricia reached out, but Raphael turned away, his laugh hollow. "Office work, huh?" Rosa grinned, twisting the knife. "She'll use you up and bolt. People like her always do." Patricia stood frozen. Inez crying softly, Raphael's back to her, the air thick with betrayal. The morning light pierced the frost-covered windows of the town, but the chill in the air had nothing to do with the winter weather. Whispers spread like wildfire through the narrow streets of the small Colorado Valley town, gossip fueled by Rosa's venomous revelations the night before. That rich heiress slumming it at Raphael's garage, one shopkeeper muttered to another over coffee. Poor guy's just a toy to her. Eyes followed Patricia as she walked down the main drag, her steps hesitant in the unfamiliar scrutiny. Strangers who might have nodded politely yesterday now averted their gazes or smirked behind her back. A mother pulled her child closer as if wealth were contagious trouble. At the garage, Raphael moved like a machine wrenching bolts, checking engines, his face a mask of stoic focus. He hadn't slept, the betrayal gnawing at him through the night. Patricia approached the open bay door, her heart pounding. "Raphael, please let me explain." He didn't look up from the engine block. "No need. You don't belong here." The words stung, echoing the isolation she'd fled from in the city. "I didn't mean to lie. I just wanted to be normal." He finally met her eyes, his voice edged with hurt. "You think playing pretend makes you one of us go back to your world?" She stepped closer, desperation creeping in. "My world is empty. You saved me without knowing who I was. That meant something." He turned away, wiping his hands. It meant nothing if it was built on a lie. The afternoon brought the town's annual Christmas square gathering, a modest affair with a lit pine tree hot cider stands and families bundled against the cold. Children laughed as volunteers handed out wrapped gifts, the air filled with carols from a crackling speaker. Raphael brought Inez her small hand in his, hoping the festivity would distract her from the previous night's chaos. Patricia followed at a distance, drawn by a need to see them to fix what she'd broken, but Rosa was there, weaving through the crowd like a serpent, her faux fur coat brushing against holiday decorations. She spotted Patricia and smirked, then raised her voice near a cluster of women. "You all hear about the big city heiress cozying up to Raphael Patricia Velasquez, yeah, the one from the papers, slumming it in our garage. Bet she's just bored using him for a thrill." Heads turned, murmurs rippling outward. "No way," one man said. "Raphael, he's too straight-laced for that," Rosa laughed sharply. "Straight-laced and broke. Perfect mark for her type. Watch, she'll dangle some cash, then vanish." The words reached Raphael like a slap. He froze, Inez clutching his coat. Faces pivoted toward him, pity mixed with amusement. His cheeks burned not from anger at Patricia, but from the humiliation of being dissected in public, his quiet life turned into spectacle. Inez tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, that's not true. She's nice." But the crowd swelled, voices overlapping. "Charity case," someone jeered. "Or is he after her money?" Patricia, hearing the escalation, pushed through the gathering. Her face paled as eyes locked on her. Rosa spotted her and grinned triumphantly. "There she is! Come to play Santa with your billions!" The square fell into a tense hush. Patricia stood exposed, the wind whipping her hair. I'm Patricia Velasquez. Yes, the heiress." Gasps echoed. Rosa crossed her arms. "See, told you. But I didn't come here for games," Patricia continued, her voice steadying. "My car broke down. Raphael helped me without knowing anything about me. That's why I stayed," Rosa snorted. "Cute story, but we know your kind. Swoop in, stir things up, then jet off. What, need a sob story for your next gala?" The crowd murmured agreement, a few shouts rising. "Yeah, leave him alone." "Fancy folks always fake it." Raphael's shoulders slumped, the weight of judgment crushing him. Inez buried her face in his side, whispering, "Make them stop." Then in a surge of childlike bravery, Inez pulled away and stepped forward, her tiny frame trembling but resolute. "Stop saying bad things about her." The square quieted, surprised by the outburst. Inez turned to Rosa, tears streaming down her cheeks. "And you only came back because of money." Rosa's face twisted. "What are you talking about, kid? I heard you!" Inez cried, her voice cracking. "Last night on the phone, if I get cash from that heiress, I'll ditch this dump forever." A stunned silence blanketed the crowd. Rosa paled, stammering. "That's not, I didn't." Raphael whirled on her. "Is it true, Rosa?" She backed away, eyes darting. I need money. For us!" Inez wailed, the dam breaking. "You need money, but I needed you. You left me. You never came back for me." The accusation hung heavy, the crowd's sympathy shifting. Whispers turned against Rosa. "Shameful. Using her own kid." Rosa faltered, then spun on her heel, fleeing through the parting throng amid glares and shakes of heads. Raphael knelt, pulling Inez into his arms as she sobbed. Patricia stood nearby, her own eyes welling, unsure if she should approach. He glanced up at her, his expression no longer just wounded. There was a flicker of something new, a reevaluation amid the pain. Rosa's stammering denial echoed in his mind as Inez's cries pierced the air. He held his daughter close, the square, watching in hushed judgment. Patricia remained rooted, the weight of the moment pressing down. After the square's stunned silence, Raphael scooped Inez into his arms and strode away, her sobs muffled against his shoulder. The crowd parted wordlessly, their earlier jeers replaced by uneasy murmurs. Patricia watched him go, her chest aching with regret. She trailed at a distance, the snow crunching under her boots until they reached the garage. The door slammed shut behind him, the lock clicking into place. Lights flickered off inside, leaving only the faint glow from a back window. She knocked softly at first, then harder. "Raphael, please open up. I don't want to explain for me. I want to apologize to you." No answer. The wind howled through the alley, carrying flurries that stung her face. Defeated, she sank onto the cold stoop, hugging her knees. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, the night's events replaying in her mind, the accusations, Inez's brave stand, Rosa's retreat. For the first time, Patricia felt truly powerless, her wealth meaningless against a locked door. A shadow fell over her, followed by the shelter of a brown umbrella. An older woman stood there, her face lined with years of quiet wisdom. "No use knocking, dear. Men's doors don't open with fists, they open with pride." Patricia looked up, wiping her eyes. "I've ruined everything." The woman Remedios, the innkeeper from down the street, shook her head. "No, you've just brought the truth sooner than it wanted to come. I want to stay, but he won't believe me." Remedios gazed at the darkened garage. "It's not you he doesn't believe in, it's himself." She settled beside Patricia, her voice steady as she shared the story. Years ago, when Inez was a toddler, feverish and frail, Raphael had pawned his wedding ring, the last remnant of his marriage, to buy medicine. Rosa had already left by then, chasing brighter lights. He swore then he'd never let pity touch him again. Pride's all a man like him has left when the world looks down on him. Patricia absorbed the words, seeing Raphael anew not as a mechanic, but as a father armored against judgment. "How do I make him see?" Remedios patted her hand. "Rich folks like you are used to buying fixes, but to win his trust, lower yourself, not with money, with honesty." The snow intensified, blanketing the town in white. Patricia, Rose's determination hardening. She didn't chase Raphael or promise fortunes. Instead, she walked to the alley's mouth where stragglers from the square lingered whispering. Standing on a low crate for visibility, she spoke clearly, her voice carrying over the wind. "I'm Patricia Velasquez, and yes, I'm the heiress." Heads turned, conversations halting. She continued unflinching. "I came here because my car broke down, but I stayed because a man helped me without knowing my name or my worth." A skeptic snorted. "What's the catch?" "No catch," she said. "I want to apologize." She faced the garage, speaking as if to him through the walls. "Raphael, I'm sorry for turning your kindness into something people mock. I hid who I was not to deceive you, but because I was afraid you'd see me as a title, not a person." Murmurs softened, a few nods appearing. "But I was wrong," she admitted, her voice breaking. "My secret made your good deed a punchline, and that's unforgivable. If you never want to see me again, I'll go. But please, don't let Inez think her father's compassion was a mistake." Inside the garage, Raphael leaned against the wall, Inez asleep on a cot, exhausted from tears. He heard every word, his fists clenched. The vulnerability in her voice cracked his resolve, but fear held him back. Fear of weakness, of another abandonment. Inez stirred in her sleep, mumbling, "Daddy, if you send her away, Christmas will be just us again, like always." A tear escaped his eye. Then a soft knock. Remedios' voice filtered through. "Raphael, you can't teach your girl to believe in goodness if you're the one running from it." He paused, hand on the knob. The door creaked open. Patricia stood there, soaked and shivering, snowflakes melting in her hair. "You're still here," she nodded, eyes pleading. "I am." He studied her, the storm of emotions settling. I don't know if I can trust you, but I want to try. She stepped inside as he closed the door, the warmth of the space enveloping them both. The morning sun broke through the garage's grimy windows, painting the cluttered space in soft gold. Patricia stirred on the old armchair by the electric heater, her clothes still damp from the night before, hair tangled and eyes puffy from exhaustion. She'd never slept in a place so unrefined, yet she'd never felt so secure. The scent of fresh coffee pulled her fully awake. Raphael stood at the workbench, pouring from a battered pot into a chipped mug. He set it before her without fanfare. Cold? He asked, his voice rough from lack of sleep. She shook her head, wrapping her fingers around the warmth. I've never been warmer. He sat across from her, staring at his own cup. I heard everything last night. Took guts standing out there like that. I had to, she whispered. For you. He met her gaze, regret etching his features. I'm sorry, too. Turned my fears into a wall. Left you out in the storm. You don't owe me. I do, he cut in. Owe you a chance, because you gave my kindness meaning. Inez patted in, rubbing her eyes, her teddy bear dangling from one hand. She climbed into Patricia's lap without hesitation, the child's trust a balm. That afternoon, Patricia walked to the square, the snow crunching underfoot. The tree still twinkled with lights, but the air held a tentative hush. She approached the town elder and a small group of locals, her voice steady. I'd like to speak with you all. Heads turned curiously. She didn't flash credentials or promise extravagance. I'm not here to buy favor, but I am grateful. Facing the garage's direction, though, Raphael lingered at the edge. With Inez, she continued. I want to fund a free auto repair and safety class for the town's youth. No strings. And I'd like Raphael to teach it, if he'll agree. Murmurs rose, not of suspicion, but consideration. It wasn't charity. It was opportunity, respect for their skills. Then Rosa emerged from the shadows, her coat, askew eyes desperate. What's my cut? Patricia turned calmly. Nothing. But I'll ensure Inez has a life free from being used. Inez stepped forward, her small voice firm. I don't need a mom with money. I just need one who doesn't hurt Daddy anymore. Rosa recoiled, the crowd's silent disdain sealing her defeat. She turned and walked away, shoulders slumped, vanishing into the winter haze. As dusk fell, Patricia stood outside the garage, the sign creaking in the breeze. I have to go back to the city. Can't abandon everything in a day. Raphael nodded, no pleas or demands. Will you come back? I won't promise what I can't guarantee, she said, eyes misting. But I promise I won't disappear. He pressed a small key into her palm, the garage spare. If you do, don't knock like a stranger. Inez rushed forward, hugging her tightly. Come back. You make Daddy smile. Patricia knelt, tears falling as she embraced the girl. I will, sweetheart. Raphael watched, then spoke softly. Love across divides isn't the poor being rescued. It's the rich daring to look eye to eye. And the poor reaching out. Patricia finished gripping his hand, not to take but to hold a future. She nodded, tears streaming. They chose each other not for wealth, but for the faith that bridged worlds. In that quiet moment amid the falling snow, they began a life woven from trust where differences didn't divide but deepened what they built together.